Hi, I'm Danny and these are my Diecast Disasters. In this video, I will be restoring and customizing a Corgi Junior's Whizzwheels Mercury Cougar XR7. These were produced in Great Britain, I believe from about 1971 until 1972 or 73. The Corgi cars were produced by the Kaiapoi company and they were a rebrand of the Husky line of cars, rebranded in around 1970. Taking a closer look at our little Corgi Cougar, we can see it has a very thick coat of paint on it. I'm not sure if somebody's tried to repaint it at some point. If they did, they've done a good job of avoiding the window. It's got so much paint on it you can't see any of the details of the casting, and the base is very highly oxidized. It's got an odd colour on the bottom and almost looks like there's copper or something on it in some areas. Rather than having the normal round rivet posts, this model has rectangular ones. I guess they had tabs on them that had been squashed out quite poorly. So I use a round burr on my rotary tool to grind them off. Here you can see the rectangular slots rather than the normal round holes. I used some poly stripper to remove the paint. I painted on in a thin layer. It actually didn't do anything at first, but I left it for about 5 minutes and the paint peeled away with a vengeance. And here it is with the paint gone. Look at all that detail that was hidden by the thick paint. It even has Cougar written at the back of it. You couldn't really even see that at all under the paint. Using a wire brush on my rotary tool, I remove the oxidation and any remaining flecks of paint from the casting. Well, that's looking a lot better. I'm not very keen on having lights on the top of it, so I'm going to filler these holes in the roof. I start with some epoxy putty. This will set very hard. Here it is after curing. I also used a round burr on my rotary tool to smooth out the little humps on the inside of the casting. I next apply a small amount of my Tamiya putty, and I just want to make sure that it's raised a little bit higher than the rest of the roof. Once this was fully cured, I sanded it smooth. Finally, I masked off just the top of it and gave it a coat of primer. I then sanded this all smooth again. I'm going to use a candy paint on this car, so I use some polishing compound and a buffing wheel on my rotary tool to bring it to a high shine. Once I have the casting nice and shiny, I'm going to paint it with a Vallejo Candy Magenta. So while the body is curing, we can move on to the base of the car. This is a good thick metal base. It's in a different league than the last Corgi car I did, but it's very heavily oxidized, so I'm going to have to clean that up before painting it. I pop out the wheels from under the wire suspension. I use the wire brush on my rotary tool to remove the oxidation. Note the odd colour of this base. It's either plated with something or heavily oxidized. There's a coppery sort of patch on one end of it. I airbrush the base with a dark steel colour. I then do the highlights in a silver weathering powder. The interior section is in great condition. I didn't even need to wash it, I just gave it a clean with a brush and then I painted it an off-white colour. I'm not going to apply a wash to it this time, so that might make some people happy. I use my craft knife to carefully cut off the lights sticking out of the top of the windscreen section. I then give it a polish with some polishing compound. The window is in pretty good condition. It had a couple of hairline cracks in it, that was all. And so here are our refurbished parts ready to go back together. I'm going to put these street wheels on it. I actually ended up not being able to fit the larger ones on the back, so it has the same size on the front as the back. So before we take a look at our finished Mercury Cougar, let's take a moment to be reminded of what we started with. A highly oxidized base and a body covered in a thick layer of quite ugly paint that is slowly chipping away. Who knows what details were hidden underneath? And here is our little Corgi Cougar after our makeover. Gone is the ugly paint job, replaced with a nice looking candy magenta. The heavily oxidized base has been tidied up and given a metal appearance. The yellow interior is gone, which makes the windscreen not look green anymore. And the tired old wheels are gone, replaced with some cool looking street mags. I enjoyed restoring this car, as underneath that thick paint the casting was really nicely detailed, and I think with the candy paint job it really looks great. I've tried to keep this custom a little more simple for a change, just for some of the people out there who don't enjoy the heavy customizations so much. So I think our little Corgi Mercury Cougar XR7 is ready to go out for a cruise on the streets. I'll just take a moment to welcome all of my new subscribers and say a massive thanks to everyone for the great comments and likes on my videos. Thanks heaps everyone. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out my Patreon page. There's a link in the description below. Thanks heaps for watching. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe.